my name is Claire Larvin.
Hi, I'm Kelly Starnes.
Nice to meet you, Kelly. So, as you were probably informed, I am writing a book about corporate technological advancements in the last decade, and I looked at Madura, and I really thought that you guys were a good explanation of really how corporations use technology and implement them in their systems. And so I'd like to start this interview this morning with, it'll probably only last about 10 minutes. It's really just an introductory so that I can start to ask better questions and tailor this toward whatever Madura does best.
Okay, sounds good.
So, first, I would like to ask, what led Madura toward its decision to move to a new system?
So, we started to see that in India specifically, our middle class was growing. So, the middle class households was expected at the time to triple from 5 to 15%, and it became imperative for our company, due to that expected increase, to build a scalable model that would engage and manage a diverse workforce, which was spread across 8 brands, 5 channels, and over 200 cities. So that's what led us to our decision.
Awesome. Also, I will be taking notes, so if I'm lagging a little behind, excuse the awkward pauses. I want to make sure that I understand and am able to look back at this as much as possible later in my notes.
Completely fine.
Okay, awesome. So basically, if I understand you correctly, the change in market or the increase in your market specifically led to this change in technological advancement?
Yes, the increase in population was going to lead to an increase of users on our platform or our system, and we didn't want it to overload, so that's why we decided to make the switch.
Awesome. So, what technological advancements enabled this change?
So I think the thing that would probably have enabled it the most was Tim Berners-Lee's invention of the internet in the 1990s. The mid-90s was when we witnessed a surge of internet lookups, thanks to browsers from Netscape and Microsoft, and web servers from Apache and Microsoft. So that's
awesome. That's really cool. Awesome. So Netscape and Microsoft were the companies specifically?
yes.
Okay. Awesome. So how did you decide between an in-house system and a custom off-the-shelf system?
So we took about 6 months to make that decision. We had time limits, and granted, taking 6 months didn't help those time limits, but we wanted to know if our staff would have been able to develop a system properly. So we ended up, in those 6 months of deciding, we had half of our staff looking up the on-the-shelf system, or off-the-shelf systems, and we had the other half actually programming and trying to see if they could make the system themselves, and within a reasonable amount of time. So we were timing their programming skills, and it just wasn't lining up with our vision, and because of that, and the fact that our staff said that the off-the-shelf systems were working pretty decently, we decided to go with an off-the-shelf system.
Okay. Looks like you guys looked into that, into developing for yourself pretty well. So once you decided that you wanted a custom off-the-shelf option, why did you choose Wuka in comparison to all the other options?
Right, so SAP implementation lacked the support for retail-specific functionality. So while it would have been great in our actual corporate offices, it would have been really hard on our employees in the store, and we couldn't see that as being a feasible option. So then we looked at social media. While the services were cheap, they just weren't conceived to support our system, or the ideas of what our system were supposed to be. It was very specific as to what it wanted. It allowed for very little customization within our programmers' abilities, and while it was, like I said, extremely cheap, it just wasn't feasible. Then there was also the need for features within other platforms like SharePoint and I can't think of the other one we were considering at the time, but they just weren't essential to our business operations, and we saw those essential features within WUCR.
Okay, awesome. So what were some of the different topics that you took into consideration when you chose WUCR? You referenced cost. Were there other
Yeah.
specifications?
There was the do-it-yourself tool set on the platform, and it was a cloud platform on WUCR, which is something we really liked. We hadn't had one of those yet, and we really wanted to see that implemented. It enabled us to have a functional group so that HR, legal, finance could all quickly set up their information easily and effectively.
Awesome, awesome. So is that really what you like the most about WUCR, is that it works best with your company, or
Yeah.
was there another aspect that you liked even better than that?
Well, we were apprehensive about WUCR initially because of the fact that they were a startup, and that's always a risk that a company has to take, and we were trying to remain number one in retail, but they won us over because other companies, they had shown through other companies that this platform was working, that this do-it-yourself kind of tool set was really succeeding, and that's what ultimately won us over with WUCR.
Awesome, awesome. So do you have any questions? This is the end of the interview. I was wondering, do you have any questions for me? Anything about what I'm writing, or?
No, I think you've clearly established that.
Awesome, awesome. So I got a lot of really great information today. I really thank you for that. I would like to set up a second appointment if that's okay, and just to get a little bit more information once I go to a couple other sources.
Sounds great.
Is there any documentation that you have that you would be willing to let me borrow?
You can use the statistics sheet that I was referencing during this interview.
Awesome, thank you so much. It's good to know that you came prepared. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
It's great to meet you,
All
Claire.
right, have a great day, Kelly. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.